Welcome to the Indian Bend Wash, an 11-mile long urban greenbelt that runs north to south through the heart of beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. In the 1960s and 1970s, the Army Corps of Engineers decided to solve the flooding problems in Indian Bend Wash by turning it into 170-foot wide, 23-foot deep concrete channel. In effect, an ugly urban Frankenstein. Well, the citizens of Scottsdale were having nothing to do with a concrete channel. And Scottsdale, being a town where citizen activism and citizen participation make a difference, proceeded to change the focus of the Army Corps of Engineers. Citizens, in combination with city staff and civic leaders, over a period of a few years, convinced the Army Corps of Engineers to ditch the ditch and replace it with an 11-mile long, green, world-class, urban greenbelt.
A lot of people didn't recognize the wash as a major place of flow. That all began to change in the early 1960s. The Corps of Engineers came out with a flood control study that identified the Indian Bend Wash as a major flooding area. And they proposed developing a concrete lined channel, much like the Los Angeles River Channel that they had just completed in California. Well, as a result of all the discussion and the people being upset about it, Bill Walton, who later became a city council member, wrote a letter to the editor in the Scottsdale Progress about that there could be another way of doing that, and that's to do a grass line, park line channel kind of concept instead of the concrete line channel that could turn the wash into an asset for the community. As a result of that, the council created a committee to investigate that possibility. That committee explored it and identified that it really could happen. So the concept of doing a greenbelt in the wash that would provide parks that the city didn't otherwise have was a very attractive idea. But the city took a lot of risks. The city included it in its general plan in 1967. So the general plan of the city embodied the greenbelt concept. A huge event occurred though in the early 1970s. On Labor Day of 1970, there was a major flood. The hurricane had come up from the Gulf of California and dumped about 4 inches of rain across the Scottsdale area in a little over 24 hours. I was living in Scottsdale at the time. I was dating my wife, and we had a date in downtown Scottsdale. She lived on the east side of the wash. I lived on the west side of the wash. As it began to rain and things began to pile up, we realized that I needed to get her home. So I got her home, and as I was coming back, the only crossing of the wash was McDowell Road, because that was the only bridge across the wash at the time. And I barely got across the wash on McDowell Road before the bridge was closed. By the next morning, both approaches to the bridge had been washed out. And for the next 3 days, all of Scottsdale east of the Indian Bend Wash was inaccessible. You actually couldn't get to it from anywhere except coming way down from Payson and Flagstaff. So it was a long, long way to get into Scottsdale. The schools were closed for 3 days. It was a devastating effect on the community. Several hundred homes had water flowing through them. That got people galvanized. Both the community and ultimately the Corps of Engineers saw the value of the wash concept. So a bond issue finally was approved to help fund the wash. The wash was basically completed in 1984.
Today is indeed a very momentous occasion for all of us. After more than 20 years, one of the world's outstanding solutions to flooding is nearly completed. We are here to formally dedicate the Indian Bend Wash Greenbelt Flood Control Project.
So it was an idea that started in 1964 by citizens who felt there was another way to achieve flood control in Scottsdale and create an amenity instead of a detriment to the community. And it took 20 years of hard work to get there. One of the persons that probably made that happen in a real way was former Councilwoman Billy Gentry, who early in the stages in trying to get the Corps of Engineers to buy into the concept, on her own money went to Washington, D.C. and lobbied the Corps of Engineers to accept the concept. The Indian Bend Greenbelt, Indian Bend Wash Greenbelt is a huge asset to the neighborhoods, and it's been a terrific experience to see that idea come together, get developed, and actually function in the community as it was designed. all as a result of citizen drive and citizen-driven ideas.
Here are some things to consider. Although the Indian Bend Wash is a public resource, only 40% of the Indian Bend Wash is publicly owned. The balance is privately held. Also, over half of the investment that went into developing the wash came either from federal or private sources at no cost to the city of Scottsdale.
The Indian Bend Wash is a wonderful community asset and will continue to provide the much needed stormwater and flood mitigation that it has been providing for nearly 30 years. It's an amazing engineering marvel, and we're very proud to have this in our community and be able to serve our residents as well as all the visitors that come to the city of Scottsdale.
There are hundreds of thousands of people who use this particular Greenbelt every year, both visitors and residents. And it is just chock full of amenities for people of various ages, various backgrounds, various abilities, and various interests. In 1963, an 11-year-old Scottsdale resident, Tom Warner, wrote a letter to a local newspaper saying, "I think that Scottsdale should have more than one park. Children would like swings, slides, trees, a stream. Parents would like grass, no ants, and no litter." Scottsdale's Indian Bend Wash, the urban oasis that runs through the heart of Scottsdale, actually has fulfilled Tom Warner's wish. Well, almost. There's that matter of the ants that still needs to be addressed.